All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the stream. And today, I think we are on episode 4, or the fourth week or the fourth session we've been doing this. And if you guys can do the audio check real quick, that would be awesome. So I'm looking for people on the different channels. So I'm looking for somebody from Twitch, somebody from YouTube, somebody from Facebook, and I think Mixer is the fourth one. Don't know how many people are online from there, so it would be good to know that everything is coming across well, that you're seeing my video feed, and also that you are hearing me loud and clear. So if you guys could let me know in the chat, that would be awesome, and then we can get started. Right, let's see here. All right. Yeah, I was just kind of looking into something. All right, so Twitch can hear me. That's great. Thank you very much. Digital Plankton. And if we can get somebody from YouTube and somebody from Facebook to chime in, we will be good to go. All right, let's see here. Nobody from YouTube, I guess, is on yet. There's quite a few people on, so I don't know what's going on here. If anybody's on YouTube and you can hear me, or if you're on Facebook and you can hear me fine, just let us know, and we can go ahead and get started. All right. So just to kind of bring everybody to date. Okay, cool. YouTube is good. I think too, if we're good on 2, then I'm assuming we're going to be good on the other ones. What I would like to mention is a couple of things. One, this is the 4th in a series, and if you want to watch the rest of them, if you want to watch the first 3, you can. What you need to do is go to ZBrush Live. So if you go to ZBrush Live, all right, this is not right. If you go to ZBrush Live and you go to the past podcasts and schedule here under my name, so ZBrush Live and then presenters, find me, and then you can scroll down and it has all the previous episodes. So on season 3, where we started with this episode, and this is the 3rd one we did last week. So today we're going to do the 4th one. What we're working on is a spaceship. So this is the spaceship, and we're going to work on it in some sort of a space dock. So this is going to be, it's going to be a spaceship that's going to be under construction, and I also have it without being constructed either. So I might do a few compositions with it, but today we're just going to finish up the rest of the spaceship and move forward from there. If you guys have, hey Kevin, thank you very much for the loud and clear from Facebook, and good. So we're good on all channels. Thank you very much. One thing I also would like to mention to all of you is that if you have any questions, just ask them, and every once in a while I'll pause, read the questions and read the comments and respond to you via voice. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. First things first, I'm going to go ahead and hide the station for now. We're not really going to work on the station. I did a little bit of work on this last time. Since last time, what I did was I just worked on this front part here, and I'll be using the same process on this back part and the wings. But basically, what I did is I did exactly the same things I did in the last stream. But the difference is I spent a little bit more time, and maybe if I hide the poly paint here, you'll see I spent a little bit more time to get into kind of a design that I like more. I spent a little bit more time art directing it and getting it to where I want it to be. And also I created a couple of inside parts. So here, this is going to be the hull of the spaceship, the outside part. But however, I do have inside parts, and I'll just go to those in solo mode so you can see them. So this basically here is the inside of the spaceship. So if it's being constructed, you can see that it's got all these different levels that people are going to be on. And also there are some kind of hard breaks. So if there's a breach or whatever, then these basically will protect the rest of the spaceship from a disaster. So this was done, I showed you how to do this last time. It's pretty straightforward and very quick to get a really cool result just like this. And then I did it again a second time, and then I got this inside part. So now I'm going to turn off solo, and let's go ahead and turn off some of these things. I don't need to see this back part, and I don't really need to see the kind of the solar collectors. I'll turn those off as well. And what we are going to do here is look at the inside parts, right? So I'm going to hide the outside and just look at the inside parts. And the inside parts, and still I have one of the outside. Okay, so there's this and there's this. So these put together, so one of them is basically just kind of the different silhouette parts, not silhouette parts, I'm sorry, the kind of the structural initial parts of it, and then these are just parts that are added on. And these are using exactly the same thing. And notice here that as I get closer, the geometry is a little bit wonky, but I'm not going to be doing a close-up. And if I am, I can clean these up, or specifically the sections that I want. But looking at it kind of from far away, like this, it actually makes a lot of sense. And then another thing I did was I basically just used the selection tool with the hull itself. So then I can also do little cutaways like this. So if you have like certain books where they show spaceships and the insides and what happens inside and how it works and whatnot, I can do a similar kind of thing here, where I can do a display of the inner parts of the spaceship, but also display the outer parts. And this renders out pretty nicely. I kind of have a couple of lights on here in ZBrush, so if I do a quick BPR render, I get some really kind of decent results with shadows and ambient occlusion. I'll let this run through. Right there, I get a little bit of ambient occlusion in here and the shadows. So you can see I have a very sophisticated type of a shape that is easily created. And and this could be for spaceships, this could be for anything that you want to create an inside for. And again, just by using surface and using just some displacement maps, you can get some really neat and cool results. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same thing to this back part. Let's get started, but before that, let me see if anybody has any questions. Okay, so Uphill Water is asking, did I do all this exclusively with ZBrush? And the answer is yep, 100% ZBrush, did not do anything outside of ZBrush. As a matter of fact, I also retopoed this back part right here. This part right here, I retopoed it, but I also retopoed it in ZBrush. I did it using the Z-Sphere retopology just because I didn't really feel like exporting it and working in another program. So yeah, 100% ZBrush, and ZBrush is really great for things like this. Okay, so no other questions. I'll just move on. So we're going to do exactly what we did here, but we're going to do it to this back part. So here I'm just going to hide all these. Actually, I want to do one more of these inside parts. So here, notice what I've done is I've colored them differently. So here, this part right here is colored a darker kind of color, and this one is a lighter color. So if you vary the colors a little bit, you get some interesting results. And I don't know why I'm getting this weird coloring, but it's fine. I guess I did have some poly paint on it. I didn't realize, but that's fine. And so I have this and this. So these two parts, let me just do these. And so these two parts together kind of form the insides. And I might want to do one more of these just to see if it will add any effect to it. And so here, let's go ahead and do it. And for that, what basically you do is you create a dynamesh version of your model. So this actually is not the dynamesh version, but this is. No, I should have a dynamesh version somewhere in here. Here we go, dynameshed. All right, so this one is dynameshed, right? So it's just a simple dynamesh, and notice it doesn't have all the detail. I dynameshed it at about 1024, but that's all I need for what I'm going to do. And here, I'm going to go ahead and paint this a different color, and I'm going to paint it like a yellow color. I don't know why this is on background. Let's change this back to black. Choose yellow here, like so, and just fill object, paint it yellow, like so. And the reason why it's got this sheen is because I'm using the Z metal material. But let's choose a different material for this one too. So I'm going to go ahead and choose, let's say, just basic material is good. Still don't get why it's so dark. Let's see if my lights are on. Light. Okay, let's drag that over to here. Looks like this one's on at about 5, and this one is on at about 5 as well. So I should have enough lighting. Let me just pump this up a tiny bit, like so. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on material. Let's just do mRGB. Oops. Let's go to draw mRGB fill object. Okay, so I just wanted to fill with that yellowish color. I think the reason why it is this color is because it's got these other two showing up. Now I should just have this. And I don't know what's in here, so I'll turn that off too. And yeah, it's still kind of weird. Oh, I've got polyframe on, that's why. All right, so here we go. I've got this, and what I want to do now is just go ahead and create some other sort of internal parts. So again, I just go to surface noise, or just surface here in the tool menu somewhere right here, and I will turn on noise, and I'll go ahead and edit the noise and turn this alpha off, and then choose an angle for this. So I'll choose just the top for this one, like so, and then let's go ahead and add that alpha. And I have a bunch of different alphas that I use. Again, just created, part of them actually are from this one tutorial that Joseph Drust had on doing architecture. And I use those alphas, and then there are plenty of alphas online you can find for displacement maps, Greeble type alphas, or I'm saying alpha, but it's just actually it's displacement maps. And here, if I can just dig through and find one, let's go for something a little bit bigger. This time, maybe go for, how about this one? Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so there is that alpha, and it's applied. And notice here that it is applied as the just as a displacement. And here I'm just going to go ahead and bring my noise scale down and mix basic noise down, and then just I can play around with the scale of the alpha, and I can also play around a little bit with the strength. So let me zoom in here. I don't want this to be too big because it's going to be little compartments and whatnot. So there we go. Like about there, looks like it's good. Okay, and just let's see here, that looks pretty good. Just 1 second here. Just need to do something quickly. Right. All right, so now that we've got this going on, I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. All right, so that basically applies this surface noise, but I don't want it to be applied to it this way. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and offset this. So I just want to choose certain parts of it, like maybe these parts right here. And as I move this back and forth, it basically goes through the gray values of the displacement map and gives me some sort of a model. So let's see if this looks okay. I think it's still, this is too big, so I'm going to change this alpha scale down. So I get this kind of a thing going on, and this is what I want, okay? So now that I have this, I can go ahead and click on OK. right? And this is what it gives me. Now, if I dynamesh this, or if I go off of the different screen, it will not give me the depth. So to get the depth, I just need to dynamesh this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here under dynamesh, under geometry, and I'm going to 1024 resolution is fine. I could up that if I need a little bit more detail, but I think that should be fine for now. And what I can do is just hold Alt and subtract. And what that will do is it will subtract that displacement map from in here. Okay, so I'll just wait a few minutes here while it does it, and here we go. So now I've got this cut this way, right? So I've got the horizontal cut. Now I want to cut it from the side. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to go to surface, turn perspective off here. I'm going to go to surface, and I'm going to go to actually, if you guys can just hold on for a second, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I had a bit of a distraction. So, okay, back to here. And what I want to do again is just go in here and go to noise. But this is going to apply the noise the same way it was applied before from the top. Now what I want to do is just turn this thing on the side, like so. And I'm going to choose the same noise or a different one, doesn't matter. I'm going to choose something that's a little bit smaller, and so now it's cutting it this way, right? And click OK again, and then dynamesh one more time. So, like so. All right, so while this is dynameshing, let's see if you guys have any questions. Oh man. So I don't know if you guys know, but I'm in LA, and there are all sorts of crazy things going on right now. I kind of feel like a musician on the Titanic. But what's happening is I just got a security alert on my phone, but it's probably saying that there are curfews tonight as well. So crazy times. Anyway, so now I've got this, right? And let me just go ahead and fill this again with yellow. So I've got this now, right? So I've got all these inside parts. So let's see what all these inside parts look like together. So I've got this one, and then I've got the other one, which is this one right here. And then I've got the third one, which is basically the scaffolding or the inside parts, right? So I can turn these off and on as I want to. Again, I've colored this yellow just because so I could see it better, but here I'll just maybe make it a lighter gray, maybe even lighter than that. Actually, yeah, lighter, be about there. Okay, so now I've got, I think I'm still kind of mixing it up with this one. Maybe I'll go really dark with this one. Fill object, and maybe make this one be not so dark. Okay, so I've got all these different things, and all these different things kind of, you know, at a distance like this, look like they're actually structural parts. And again, this is going to be in the space station being built. So I can at any point in time choose what I want. And again, if I want to hide some of these, it's just as simple as, you know, going to selection and hiding a part of it. So now I'm just hiding part of this one. So now it just kind of shows that way. And I can show and hide whatever I want just by using the selection tool before I render it. Okay, and then throw this on like so. And now I've got, you know, kind of the spaceship at maybe a later stage of construction where there's more parts being added and fixed and whatnot. All right, so Sidrock is asking, are these parts dynamesh or polys? Okay, so this hull itself, right? The hull itself right here. Let me go back to solo. This thing actually is sub D, so I just basically zero meshed it and reprojected the shape. So if I look at this one here, you can see that it's got multiple levels of geometry, and I'll turn on the polyframe so you can see it. And I've created a couple of polygroups too, but I don't know if I need them. But notice here that this one has 7 subdivision levels, so I've got a lower subdivision level of it. So this is kind of the base level subdivision, and it's just a zero meshed version of what I had before. Right, and then this goes up all the way to level 7. And the reason why I've got this way is because I probably want to UV this and paint it later. Maybe do some work on it in Substance Painter and whatnot. So it's just kind of a lighter way of doing it. But all the other parts, the inside parts, are all dynameshed, right? So all these other parts, like this one right here, is dynameshed. Wow, this is really dark. I don't know if you guys can see it. It kind of looks like a silhouette on your screen. If I hide the poly paint, you might be able to see it better. Here. Actually, right. So this one here is basically a dynamesh model. So is this one. And I guess I hid part of this. I'll just show it all. Like that. And then there's this one. These last three are all dynamesh models, right? So let me fill this object with white. Right, so this is dynameshed, this is dynameshed, and this is dynameshed. And of course I can decimate these and do all sorts of stuff with them if I want to make them less heavy. But for now, you know, they're sitting at around about 4 million polygons for that one. This one's right under 1 million. So I'm not really worried. ZBrush can eat this stuff up easily, right? And this one that has the parts cut out, this one right here, is the same as the sub D one that I have. I've just used the selection tool to kind of cut it up so I can see the inside, right? So yeah, so here we go. I guess this is going to be the final result here of what we've got going on. So this is kind of at one stage, and if I hide this one, this is another stage, and this one here is yet another stage. Right, so it basically shows me the different stages of construction. So it goes up and up to being more complete, and then finally it's got the full hull. Right, so I can show this at any point of the construction, and I can show and hide any part of the inside easily. So and I'm going to do the exact same thing to this back part. So let's go ahead and get started. And for that, I'm just going to hide all of these front parts. I'll show this one. Just so I kind of have a reference of the scale of these things, and we're going to work on this piece right here. So if I look at this piece, and let me go back to lighter color here. If I look at this piece right here, you will notice that it has not the best topology, but it does have some sub D level topology. I would, you know, if I were to do this again, I'd probably spend a little bit more time and balance out the polys, but I'm looking around here just to make sure there aren't like big polygons. I mean, there are some small ones, but there are some big ones as well. But I can just go into ZModeler and add some edge loops. So maybe I'll add one here. I can't because it's got multiple subdivision levels. Did I subdivide this already? I did. All right, no worries. I'll delete the higher subdivision level. And so, yeah, I can just add one here like so, just to cut this part up. And then I can see this thin strip here. I don't like it, so I'm going to break that up too. And yeah, so this kind of looks pretty much ready to go. All right, so then I'll just basically subdivide it a few times. So here I'm just going to go ahead and turn smooth off, divide, divide, divide. Maybe one more time. Let's see how many polygons I'm sitting at this point. Okay, so I'm at about 500,000. Let's divide it again. So I'm at 6. Let's see what this gives us, right? So now I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to go ahead and go into, and for this I think I'm going to show the other piece so I can make sure that they're the same. And I'm going to turn off polyframe for now. Okay, so again, go to surface, noise. And the orientation of your model in the noise applet here matters, right? So I want to make sure it's kind of pointing this way. And then go to alpha and choose one of the alphas that I chose, which was one of these symmetric ones. Right, so now it's got the alpha. I don't want regular noise. I don't want regular noise mixed in. And here, let's go ahead and start making the strength a little bit stronger here so we can start seeing it. And again, what I'm trying to do here is trying to match the scale of what's going on in here to this front part. And this seems like it's too big, so let's make it a little bit smaller, like maybe so. All right, and somebody was asking me, I think, am I working off of reference? And I am, so I'll bring up my reference too. Let's see. Yes, Sid, I am trying to, yeah, you do want to have square polygons just because when you divide, right, so you get more subdivisions in the smaller squares, then you get less subdivisions in the bigger ones, and then when you apply this texture, it doesn't look as good. So I think for what we have right now, we're good enough, and I'm just trying to take a look here. I think this is good. Maybe I will increase the strength just a little bit. Like so, and that is looking okay. So I'm going to go ahead and, oh, one other thing I want to do is I want to have color in this too. So the way that that works is here, there is something that says strength, where is it? Color blend, right? I'm going to change this color blend to here. And notice as I move the slider up and down, it will color it for me. And I do want to have color, so I'm going to do this. Like so, and click on OK. All right, so now in the preview, it does show me the color, right? I do see the color in the preview. So now I just want to kind of evaluate it compared to the back part, and it's fine. I might need to have these be a little bit bigger. So let's just go ahead and edit that. Again, alpha scale, just a little bit bigger, maybe like about there. Like so. And we're going to add kit bash parts to this later. So this is just kind of the basic parts of the starting parts of the mesh. So I kind of don't like how that's looking. So let's just change the alpha scale until we get something that looks a little bit better. Here we go. All right, I think this is good enough. Click on OK. So now is the next part where I actually will apply this to the mesh. Okay. So before doing that, I'm just going to duplicate this so I kind of have a version of it that I can go back to if I want to change anything. And now just go to Surface and click on Apply to Mesh. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so the first thing you notice is that the color is gone, and the second thing you notice is that it's pretty jaggy here. So the jagginess I can fix by adding a few more subdivision levels. So here I'm going to go ahead and divide it one more time to 7. Let's see, one more time maybe. Let's go to 8. Oh man, no, this is 35 million polys. It's too much. Okay, so we're going to stick to 7 and delete the higher subdivision level. Okay, so now we have this, and then I just go to Surface and Apply to Mesh. Right, so now I have the geometry on here, and let's just kind of take a quick look around. Okay, so there's some funky stuff going on here, but that's okay. I can fix that later. And I kind of don't like what's going on here. I can fix that later too. But I think for the most part, I like what's going on. So we'll go ahead and agree to it. Now, the other thing I want to do here is I want to go ahead and turn the noise back on, which basically gives me the color. And I'm going to mask by noise. Okay, so what that's going to do is it's going to mask this model by the noise. And then I'll just go ahead and pick a color. So I'll just go ahead and pick one of these colors right here and fill the object with that color. Now, if I clear the mask, then I'll have the color variation. And that's okay for now. This is just kind of the base layer. So we're good so far. And then what I want to do now is add another layer of, oh boy, I hear helicopters going by. I hope everything is fine around me. So let's go ahead and do this, this next level of noise. So now I'm going to go back into noise, right? And edit again. This time I'm going to turn the model sideways like this. And I'm going to apply a different noise to it this way. And for that, I think I'm going to go with this one. And again, I'm just kind of arbitrarily choosing different ones here. Some might work better than others. So this will kind of be the pattern on the side here. And let's see what that looks like. That looks okay. Maybe I need to make the alpha scale a little bit less so it matches what we had before, like maybe about there. And for this one, what I want to do is I just want to inverse the pattern. So I just go to flip V here, which basically flips the colors. And this is looking good. I don't know if, yeah, these stripes are going to go straight across, but that's still okay for now. Okay, and let's go ahead and play around with the scale just a tad more. To get something like, oops, I had it. Let's try and see if I can get it again. Here we go. Something maybe like this. Looks good. Okay, all right, so now okay again. And ZBrush is auto-saving, so let me look at the questions so far and get a swig of tea here. You did see the creases in there, and I was creasing the edges because I wanted to see if I wanted to crease them just to see if I could zero mesh it, but I didn't end up needing to re-zero mesh it. It's fine the way it is. You don't need to crease it for what I'm doing, Sidrock. Okay, so Nightbot has a list thing for us, link for us, says get ZBrush. Okay, cool. I don't know what that is, but all right. Okay, and then, so this is what we're getting here. Now notice here that the scale of these two are kind of not matching each other very much. I guess they are. I guess they're fine. I got some funky stuff going up here, but no worries. I can fix that. But before I do fix that, right, I'm going to go back in here, go back into editing this. Okay, that's good. And I'm going to mask by noise. Oh, well, wait. Should have done that before. Okay, so Control Z that. Yeah, I think I want this to be a bit smaller before I apply it. It's kind of really touchy doing this with the, so that's why I'm kind of using the upper slider just to get that right amount of detail. And again, I just want it to match what's in the front. I could have done these together as well, but it's fine. This is working okay. All right, there it is. Click on OK. Let's see what that looks like. That looks a little bit more like it. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to apply that to mesh. Okay, and then turn the noise back on, mask by noise. Okay, and that will mask it, and then we're just going to fill the object with this color and then just clear the mask. So now we have this there and we have it masked. Let's see, I forgot to invert it, didn't I? I did. All right, no worries. I'm going to go back a couple of steps. Luckily, this stuff's happening pretty fast, even though these models are pretty dense. Okay, what I wanted to do is go here, right, and make sure that this is going outwards like that. All right, so it is. Okay. I think, is the scale okay, or did I modify the scale? I think I did. Come on. Just trying to get the right scale here. And it's interesting, just a little bit of a variation gives you such a different result. Ooh, I like that one. Okay, good. Here we go. All right, so let's click OK, see what that looks like. Now, even smaller. Just going to roll the dice here. No, even smaller than that. Wow. Let's maybe not roll the dice. Let's get this from the top. There it is. Come on. Or the bottom. Doesn't matter. Let's see here. Alpha scale. That looks good. All right. Yep, that works. So apply to mesh. Still going in the wrong direction. Let's do the undo here. Edit, flip V. Okay. And now apply to mesh. All right, let's see what that looks like. It looks okay. Oops. There it is. And again, mask by noise and fill object to get it to have the colors. And what I want to do here now is just evaluate to see if the back and the front parts are matching. And they look like they're pretty good. So I'm liking this, and then I want to do one more surface noise on top of all this. Let's clear the mask. And this surface noise is going to add a little bit of diagonal action to what's going on here. So one more time, noise. And this time I want to go from the top of the object like so. And I'm just going to choose a different one of these alphas. I'm choosing one, or displacement maps. I'm choosing one now that is asymmetrical. So it adds some interest to the model. And I'm looking at it from this scale. It's kind of too small. Let's grow that out to about there. And maybe increase the strength a little bit to that. That's looking okay. It's kind of matching what I had before. Play around with the scale some more. All right, that's looking good. And do I need to invert it, or is it right? Let's see what it looks like inverted. Nope, it was right. Okay, so agree to that. Okay, and then let's apply it to the mesh. Mask by noise, and then I'm going to choose kind of a lighter color here. Not a purple for sure. Maybe something like that, and then fill object, clear it. So now it kind of matches that front part, and so yeah, that is looking okay. Just want to give it a quick look over to see if there's any parts of it that I don't like, but I think for the most part it's good. The only thing I want to do here is I want to apply that noise again and mask it by that noise, and then flip the mask over and maybe introduce a bit of a lighter color. So I'm poly painting this as well. I haven't UV'd these yet, but I can. And then let's clear that mask. Nope, that didn't work. Right, so now flip the mask over, fill object, clear the mask. I think that's good enough. Okay, so now I've got the back part kind of matching the level of detail I have here. The only difference is in the back part, I think maybe I've got a little bit too much of the stuff going on. So I can always go in and clean it up, but I think I'm just going to leave it as is for now and then clean it up later, like so. All right, I think no questions. Wow, everybody's being really quiet today. All right, so now I've got this kind of back part doing what I need it to do. Kind of need to worry about how these two are connecting, because remember we decided that this front part can come apart from the rest of the model. So we just have to kind of take that into account. Yeah, for the most part, I think the surface is looking pretty greebly, pretty good. And again, looking at it from this distance, it's looking great. Let's go ahead and do a render just to test it out. And this would be a good time to ask questions if you have any. All right, the render went okay. Do you have ambient occlusion on for the render? Let's make sure we do. Render properties. Yep, AO is on. Shadows are on. Okay, it's all good. What I'm kind of feeling though a little bit is that kind of the level of relief here is a little bit more than the level of relief in the back. So what I'm going to do is do this one more time, which is going to make it really busy, but that's okay. Again, I'm going to go from the top. That orientation right, like so, and pick a different alpha, or a different, I keep saying alpha, but it's actually displacement map. Realistically, it's the same thing, and it's just a grayscale image, and let's find one that would do it justice. This one's too noisy. This one might be it. Okay. All right, so there it is. Okay, and then the color blend is all the way up, which is fine. I think what I want to do here is change this color to be a lighter color to start out with, and let's do this again. Okay, so color blend is going from this to this. Let's choose a lighter color. And let's see the scale of this alpha. We want it to be, we definitely want it to be a little bit stronger. I chose the wrong alpha. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and do this another one. Let's choose this one right here, open. There we go, that's the one I wanted, and we want to flip that, so it's going the other direction. And let's find the right scale for it. My sensitivity is really high on my tablet, so I need to kind of do this with the mouse, which works a lot better. That's good. Okay. And let's see what that looks like. Okay, that looks more along the lines of what the back looks like, so let's apply that to the mesh. And wow, that really didn't do too well. It's because the mask was still on. Let's do it again. All right, yep, that worked out a lot better. And now what we want to do is it's going to turn the noise back on, mask by noise, invert that noise, and fill object. Well, it didn't really. Noise, mask by noise. All right, and then let's choose a lighter gray here. There we go. This is exactly what I want. All right, fantastic. So now we have that back part. I do want a little bit of variation between the back and the front, and I kind of like these straight lines that are going straight up and down here. Usually I try to add another alpha in this direction just to break that up, but I think I kind of like the way it's working, and I might use paint or something else. The other thing I really like is that this is asymmetrical, so this looks completely different from this, which is kind of cool. All right, so I think I'm done with that, and so now what I need to do is put in the construction part of it. So for that, what I'm going to do is go ahead and copy this. So I'm just going to have a duplicate copy of it, and here I'm just going to start engine and dyna. And I'm just going to dynamesh this back part. So I have one that's not dynamesh, that's got multiple subdivision levels, and then I just created this dynamesh version, and let's go ahead and dynamesh it. So to dynamesh it, all I need to do is just make sure I have enough resolution. So 1024 seems to be okay, and blur is fine. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. I don't want to freeze the subdivision levels, I just want to dynamesh it. So oh, I have a mask. I should clear that mask. Do that one more time. No. And now it's just going ahead and processing the faces, and pretty soon I will have a dynamesh model. So here it is. So this specific one here is this exact same thing that I had before. However, it's dynameshed, and you can see here the polygons are pretty, when you get up close it breaks up, but from this distance it looks pretty good. All right, so now what I want to do is go ahead and start creating that kind of inside part. And to do that, again, same thing, surface and noise, and edit. And now I'm just going to choose one of the displacement maps I got from Joseph's tutorial, which you can download yourself. And if people are interested, I can look up where where those are. If you guys want the link to it, I can give you the link. Okay, so here we go. They're pretty simple displacement maps, actually. They're just kind of like windows of a building or something like that. And I'm going to choose, let's see, there's two of them here. There's one that's smaller and one that's bigger. Let's choose the bigger one. Let's see, there's a third one that might work. Or there's that one. I think this one would be probably the best one. Click on OK. I'm sorry you guys can't see those, but here it is, right? Basically, this is going to be how it's going to be divided. And then I'm going to choose that alpha scale to be small, like so, because remember, this thing is going to be huge. It's going to house a lot of people on it. And then I also did a couple of things for scale, which I'll show you in a few minutes, as soon as we're done with this part. Okay, so notice there's some weird stuff going on here, but I don't really care about that. Let me just make sure I get this to be the right scale. And the best thing to do is look at this from the top. And look at the scaffolding. I think that looks good like that, right? Okay, so, and then after I'm done with that, I just will offset it. And here I probably want to flip this so I get that, right? So there it is. So this is kind of the cage. It's not showing me the inside part yet, but it's fine. And I think this is good enough for that. Let's see. And notice the offset just kind of goes directly to here. Let me see if I can go further. Nope, I think it's just basically good right there. All right, so there's the offset. Click on OK. So then that does this, right, which is not complete yet. I'm going to apply this to the mesh, and then this is what I get. So I'm not going to apply it to the mesh yet. What I'm going to do is just go to geometry here, and dynamesh is still on. I'm just going to go ahead and hold Alt down and click on subtract. And that's basically just going to subtract this shape and give me a result. So this takes a little bit of time, so you can go ahead and wait for it to finish. Luckily, ZBrush saved a little bit a while ago, so if there's a crash or a problem, then I can recover, but here it is. Okay, so this is one part of it, right? So this gives me the kind of the top cut of it. And now I want the cross section, so I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I'm just going to go to noise, like so. And turn this back on, go to edit, and then rotate this to the side like this. And I'm going to choose probably the same alpha or a different alpha. It doesn't matter. Let's choose this one again. So I'm using the same alpha, which is this one right here. And that gives me the cross sections going this way, right? So now I get that. Okay, and again, I can play around with the scale. Zoom in. Now it's going to be interesting to see if this matches with the one in the front, but that's okay. And I'm automatically getting these other kind of cross sections here that I really like, these big ones, and I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. So there's that. I think that's a little bit too much. Let me turn on my other part here, the front part. And let's hide the hull, but let's just show this. Nope, not that. This part. And I think I inadvertently turned the noise off. What happened? Where's the noise? No, it's on. Oh, I think I have the top one on as well. Yeah, this one. Here we go. So you can see this is a lot smaller in the back, and I don't know if that scale is okay. So what I need to do here is fix this a bit. So I'm going to go back to Surface and increase the scale up. Maybe to about there. Let's see what that looks like. That looks pretty believable, right? There, that looks like it's the same scale. Okay, so we're good with that. So we'll go again to dynamesh. And make that happen completely. All right, so now I've got scaffolding in the front, I've got scaffolding in the back, I've got all these different things pretty much there in place. And let's go ahead and paint it the same color as this. All right, so this is basically the scaffolding, and I don't care that these back parts are a little bit bigger because, again, this is going to be where the people are. This back part's just going to be machines and engines and storage and all that kind of stuff. So it's all good. It's kind of fun working on this, knowing that we sent another rocket to the space station recently. So it's kind of exciting that we're doing this in the same time frame. All right, so let's go ahead and so I kind of like this version of what I have in the back here, but I'm going to make a couple more. So what I'm going to do is just duplicate this. So there's a copy of it exactly the way it is, like this. And with the previous one, I'm going to go all the way back to when we dynameshed it. I think it'll be about here, maybe about here. I think this is where we go to the noise. Yep, like right about there. And I'm going to duplicate that. So I have a couple of copies of this. And this initial one, if I'm going to use it again, I'm going to add it to my construct menu. Okay, so I've got a folder here that just has the construction. And I guess while I'm here, I'll also show you the other things. So one of the other things that I did is to figure out what the scale of this is. And just a second here. If you guys could just wait for just 1 second. I need to fix a little video issue I'm having. All right, that's all good. It's a bit better. Okay, so what I was going to mention earlier is that so I went to the internet, found a model of a carrier, and I also found a model of a 747 from Espona, I guess is the name of the company. So just to give you an idea of how big this spaceship is, right? So this is its full size. This is a big aircraft carrier, and this is a 747 jet. Right, so, pardon me, I have a kind of an understanding of the scale of how big this thing is and how big it is in space. So it's always good to do this because now I can tell how big these different rooms are and how big kind of the scale of this thing is. And I'm going to be doing some other things soon, so it's a good idea to kind of have a scale, and these are just basically just simple models that I brought in. I think they were 3ds Max models, and so I just brought them into ZBrush, and then I just dynamesh them. Did I dynamesh them? I might not even, like, they come in. I mean, it's just really horrible topology, really, really bad. And I think I did dynamesh them. And here is the 747. So I just brought them in. I dynameshed them, and then I just have them in my model as reference here, so that at any point in time, if I need to figure out how big things are, I have a good idea, right? So this thing is it's a pretty big spaceship, and you know, and it's pretty spacious inside. It's not like crammed up or anything like that. So people have to live in here for a long time. So I just made it have a big space. And again, I can always adjust the scale of this by adjusting the scale of my objects. So I'm not really worried about exact world scale, but here if I want maybe to say, well, no, maybe this spaceship is not that big. Maybe it's this big. So all I do is just change the size of the carrier and the 747, and it gives me a good idea of what it is that I'm working with. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this as is and hide it. Let's go back to where we were. Let's see, I think I see a bunch of questions. Okay, so Sid Rock wants the link to the architecture thing with Joseph Drust, and Ernesto has some questions as well. Sub option, but does not work. Do we need to make something? Oh yeah. So with the dynamesh sub option, and you'll see it, I'm going to do it again, Ernesto. So just kind of keep an eye on what I'm doing, and you'll see it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so here we're going to do that exact same thing again. And I'm going to do, so here's the one that's the scaffolding. So this would be kind of maybe the second level of detail that's going to be added. And for that, what I'm going to do, again, I'll just solo it out. So again, we're just working with this part right here. And what I want to do again is create that kind of inside cutout. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is just go to surface, right? So here is surface. I'm going to go ahead and turn noise on, edit, right? And then I want to make sure that my ship is oriented horizontal and vertical, because that's kind of how the cross sections are. And then turn the alpha on, and then turn alpha off and on again. And then here I'm just going to go ahead and choose this other, not maybe this one, but let's see here. I'm trying to find one, a displacement map that actually works well with what I've got going on. Maybe this one, but here I'm going to go back out. And for the people that asked, I'll find the link, Joseph's link, before the thing is over. We got another hour to go, so I'll find it and I'll show it to you guys. So you guys can download those displacement maps. But again, you can make your own. They're pretty much easy to make. You can get a program like JDisplacement or something like that to do it. Okay, so I'm just going to choose this one right here, which looks like this. And sorry I can't make this bigger to show you, but it's just basically a very simple kind of displacement map, grayscale image. And it's showing it to me on here, so I'm just going to change the scale to like maybe about that. Right? Okay, so the trick, Ernesto, that you were looking for was this offset. So with this offset, you can kind of choose what you want to see, right? So I'm choosing here what I want the cutaway to be, right? And let's say I want it to be something like this, right? And that says good. So I'll just click OK, and that'll apply it to the mesh. If I say apply to mesh, it's going to close it up. So before I click on apply to mesh, that's when I go into geometry and go into dynamesh, hold alt down and click on subtract, and that's when it will create that form for me. So again, it's doing it right now, and in a couple of seconds here I will have it with a actual form. All right, so now I've got this, and notice now it's going straight through. By the way, you can also do this with, I guess, Live Boolean, but I'm not using Live Boolean for it. Okay, so there's that, and now I want to cut it across this way, right? I'm just going to go into it this way to just kind of create the variations that I want. Oops. And let's do a little bit of this. All right. Okay, so now again, just go to noise. And I'll probably use the same exact thing here. So surface and noise and edit. And this time I'm going to rotate my model this way. Right. So we're going to cut across it this way, turn this alpha off, turn alpha on again. I think I'm going to choose the same alpha or a very similar one to that one. Let's choose something, doesn't really matter. How about that one? Okay, so now this is going to go across this way, and again I can just modify the scale to what I want it to be. Maybe something like this, and notice here the offset is still at point -7. And if I want the inverse of this, I can always flip the vertical and get the inverse, right? So this is the inside part. So I can either get it to be this way, or I can get it to be this way. This is kind of more along the lines of what I want. Okay, again, right? So that basically will give me that. So I'll just wait for ZBrush to save. Okay, let's see. Grim Comeback is giving me this smile. Okay. Okay. Cool. I guess while this is happening, I can go look for that. I can go look for that. So here, if we just type Joseph Drust and architectural, and there's two architectural things that he does. I think this one is a Z Classroom. Excuse me. And he did it a while back, so I think this is it right here. So let's go over to it. So here is the link, and let me see if I can paste this in the chat. Yep, I can. So there it is. Okay, so here you notice that it talks about how to do this stuff that he does. So he does it with buildings. But here's the files. So download files. Here's the link to the files, right? So if you click on that, you can download it and you can have it. Cool. So here is this, and I still don't know. I think I've got, do I have polyframe on? Let me just fill object with. I do have polyframe on. Okay, so this is what I just created, right? It kind of looks weird and funky in certain areas. But again, whatever areas I don't like, I can always just hide or remove, right? So if I, let's say I don't like this area right here, okay? So I can just go in here and do this. So let's turn on symmetry first. Oops. I did the opposite of what I wanted to do. Let's bring everybody back. All right, so let's turn on symmetry. Oh, symmetry was on. All right, sorry about that. And what I want to do here is make sure this is off, perspective is off. And here, I'm just going to delete this part, right, like that, right? So that just basically gets rid of that part and actually gives me a really nice cross-section as well. And then I could also do that with maybe this part right here, like so. And then just delete these hidden parts. All right, so now if I look at what I've got going on, I've got this part, right? I've got the this part right here, which let's fill that with just white. And then I've got this second part that I added, which I think is this one. Nope, this one. And I'll make this a little bit darker. I should just use this. Darker gray, fill object. Right, so I just did these two, right? So now I've got kind of a beginner stage and like some parts inside. as well, right? And I think for this one, I'm just going to stick with 2. So now if I go ahead and turn the guys on for this one and this one right here. So now I've kind of got the entire structure. And again, these are living quarters, and these are more where engines and stuff will go. And I'll be putting kit bash parts in here pretty soon. So I'm liking the way this is. And if I want to add the outside shell, right? So I've got this one for here, right? And let's pick a lighter, just leave that the way it is, the outside shell. And I think there is poly paint on these guys, so I'll turn it on for this one as well. So this is the outside shell showing some of the inside parts, and again I can show and hide based on the density that I want. And then for this back part, right, for I just want to choose the one that I had. So this is the one that I have that's got the multiple levels. And I guess I ended up using this one, but I didn't end up using this one. So you can just delete this one. Let's make sure it's the right one. Yep. Okay. All right. So and then for the original one, if I want to show the inside parts, right, I just make sure I choose that one. And then I, again, use that hide feature. Right now it's doing it with symmetry. So now I'm seeing the inside parts. But if I want it to be asymmetrical, which kind of will be cooler, I can turn off symmetry. And let's say I want to see the inside parts of this rear kind of wing looking thing over here. So I just kind of do this like that. And now I've got a cutout that shows the inside part, right? And like that. And then I can also do another one, like let's say I want to do another cutout. I want to do something like this. And for this, what I'm doing is I'm using the select brush, but I'm inverting it. And I don't have to be selecting in straight lines. I can also select lasso and do something like this. So I can just kind of go at an angle and then pick a straight line. So here I can say, okay, oops, I don't want to do that. I can go at an angle here and just go like that. Sorry, I keep messing up. Okay, let's do this again. First off, I want to start out with the select rectangle. Do this. And then go to the select lasso. And do something like this. Right, so it's not just square pieces that are cut. Oops. I keep forgetting to, oops. I do one thing and then I do the other one. All right, so here we go. This is going to be it. The right angle, no. Here we go. So that will hide that part. So now it doesn't look like it's just square parts being cut off. They're at an angle as well, right? So now I can kind of see the inside through those pieces. Okay, so I think for this part, we're good. Next thing I want to do is I want to work on these two reflectors, I guess, that we have. And also, since we're going to look at this thing in its factory, I also want some things to be working on it. So I also want to create some little, so here's a station. Let's say this is going to be up in space, and then, you know, in the composition, I'll have something in the background or whatnot. But what I also want to do is, this, by the way, looks a lot better when perspective is on. But I also want little flying kind of, you know, little constructor robots or constructor kind of little spaceships that go around it and fix it up. So I need to build those spaceships. So I'm going to go ahead and do that somewhere else. I'm going to go ahead and do it over here. And again, I'm going to use my, I'm going to use the, where are they? The spotlights for it. And I'm going to use the ones that I have. Let's see, these ones, like so. Let's bring the spotlight up. And let's choose one of these. How about this guy right here? All right, so we want this to be the shape we're going to be working with. Perspective off. Okay, so this is going to be the shape we're going to be working with. And so I just go ahead and use this, create a 3D object of it. I don't need this anymore. Oops. I don't need it anymore, so I'm going to create a copy of it. All right, let me... All right, that's good. And now I've got this object. Delete this one as well. So now what I want to do is maybe this is good, and then maybe it's got a top part, and for the top part maybe I'll choose this one. Let me make this a bit bigger. Maybe about there. Again, I don't really need to go into too much detail, but I want it to be kind of an interesting silhouette of sorts. So push this more in, and let's go ahead and do snapshot 3D of that. Now I've got these two parts. I'm just going to union them together. Let's see what these look like without spotlight. So I've got this and this piece. Right, so something like that, and I want these to be longer. Something like this, and let me hide the spotlight completely. All right, that looks okay, and so this is kind of the area that they're in, and let's add a sphere to this. The front, so think of it as like a mini sub or a mini submarine or something like that. So for that, I'm just going to go to brush, use some of my in my IMM brush that I have with primitives, and again, these are free to download. You can just go to my Gumroad and get them, and we're just going to add one of these spheres to this. So let's go ahead and press W. One of these spheres, not that big. Oh, it just replaced it. That's not what we wanted. So what we want to do is go to there and do it this way. Maybe something like this. And let's move it into, nope, that did not work for me. Actually, I can just append it. All right, so let's choose this one, and it's a bit faceted, but again, I want it to be as light as possible. I'm going to re-dynamesh or ZBrush this whole thing anyway. And let's move this to home, and while I'm at it, do the same thing with these guys, and arrange them. So this goes here. This goes somewhere in the front like that, maybe a bit longer. All right. Okay, so that's that. And then for this one, on the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and add an angle to it like this. Actually, the reason why that's happening is because it doesn't have enough subdivisions. So what I'm going to do here is add some edge loops. Let's add about 20. Again, it doesn't matter because I'm going to just make sure I'm on an edge. There we go. And now I can add that incline. Oops. Not that, but this, like so. So it's kind of more like that. Maybe not across that part. Here we go. All right, that's good. Okay, and then what I wanted to also do is add a couple of arms, and for that I'm going to use Z-spheres. So I'm going to append a Z-sphere here. I'm sorry, I haven't been looking at questions for a while. I will in just a minute. Append a Z-sphere. All right, let's look at questions. Yes, when I dynamesh noise surface, it is converting everything to geometry. That's correct. And it's dynameshing it. Have I ever modeled an umperazole? I don't know what that is, Canode. Can you elaborate, please? I don't understand what that is. I might have. I don't know. If I know what it is, I can answer that question. All right. So here I want to make sure symmetry is on, and what we're going to do is create a couple of arms. So here I think I'm in move mode. Let's just move this down to about here, and let's scale it down to about there. I'm going to turn transparency on so I can see it, and let's go to draw. Put a couple of spheres this way. All right, I don't have time to watch that YouTube video right now, but I will after this is over to know what it is that you are talking about. So if you guys have played like StarCraft or something like that, this is basically the same thing where it's like these little builders that just go in and build. Oops. Like so, they go in and kind of build the spaceship. You know, maybe a couple of people sit in here, maybe a few people sit in it, and they just go in and build the spaceship. All right, so that's looking good, and let's go ahead and add a couple of kind of arms to this. That. If you guys haven't used Z-spheres, it's like the coolest thing ever. See a lot of people use this for organic sculpting, but it's really great for hard surface too. Let me just scale this one up a bit, and then let's me go to draw mode and add a couple more, and oops. All right, there we go. That looks good, and I just wanted this to be like, these are going to be really small, so I just want to make sure that they look good, kind of smallish like this. Okay, that's good enough. So now let's just churn this up to geometry. So here I'm going to go to adaptive skin, and I'm going to use classic skinning, density down, dynamesh down, preview. This is about exactly what I want. So make adaptive skin. There it is. And now I'm just going to append that to this model. Right, so I don't have the Z-sphere one. I just have this one. I'm going to turn transparency off. And it's kind of got this inside part that I didn't really want, but it's actually adding an interesting silhouette. So I'm going to play around with it some more and bring it out like this. That looks pretty good, exactly what I want. So now what I'm going to do here is take the Z-sphere one down here and take these three and boolean them together. So not this one, but just these three. And for booleans, I guess I'll just do live boolean. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe I'll just make boolean mesh, see what that looks like. All right, so boolean, live boolean is not on, that's why. Here it is, make boolean mesh. And now I've got this as this mesh right here, right? And so this is okay. But what I want to do is I want this just to be as light as possible because I'm going to have a bunch of them. So here I'm just going to go to Geometry, ZRemesher, and let's just ZRemesh this like as is. See what we get. All right, I've got some Sidrock, yeah, a lot of people use these spheres. I don't know what you're talking about. Sonny's asking what's the difference between adaptive skin and unified skin. I think adaptive skin is for Z-spheres, and unified skin is for like if you have models together. I don't know. Let's see if this kind of does its thing. Kind of don't like the fact that it's just stuck there for a while, but I'm going to let it do its thing. Here we go. All right, cool. That's good, but it's still too many polygons. So what I'm going to do here, and also one other thing I want to do here, make sure symmetry is on. Now that did okay, but what I'm going to do here is turn detect edges on, and I'm going to go for half the polygons. I don't really need that many polygons. Let's see what this will give me. I just want to keep it as simple as possible. That's good, but it's, again, way too much detail, so I'll continue to ZRemesh it until I get a lot less detail. That's okay. Notice here that every time I do it, it gets faster and it gives me less polygons, but it's maintaining the shape, which is really what I want at the end. One more time. And one more time. All right. Nope, I think that's one too many. All right, so this is good, and now I can just come in here and just tweak this a little bit. So I don't know if I like that tip being so kind of, there we go, that's okay. These are good. Oops, I need to do that. I want to inflate this part a little bit out. All right, one more autosave. Autosave saves my life so many times because, you know, usually I just kind of start working and forget about it. Good time to have a swig of tea. All right, so here I'm just kind of just smoothing this a little bit. And again, all I need to see this is at a very small level. One of the other things I might want to do is maybe take one of these arms. Let's turn symmetry off. Just take one of these arms and rotate it slightly. Like so. Just a little bit, just to add a little bit more visual interest. Okay, and I think this is pretty much good. Let's just make it one polygroup, and let's look at it from all different angles, see if there's anything else we can do. I think I want to inflate this area a little bit more. All right, Arthiga is sending good vibes to you too. Oh, I did all that without symmetry. How about that? All right, that's good enough. And I guess there's a back area here where people could be looking at different areas. That's good, that's good, that's good. I think I like how this is coming across. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to use this thing. And how many polygons is this thing? Let me make sure it's not too many. All right, about 2,000 polys. I could probably get it to be a little less as well. And I'm going to do that manually. I'm just going to go to ZModeler and just delete some edge loops here that I don't need. And again, I'm doing this because I'm going to have a lot of these guys. Once again, I hear a bunch of sirens. So tragic what's happening. So tragic in so many ways. All right, I think this is good. Let's just reduce the arms a little bit. Single edge loop over here. All right, and the fingers also, I don't need that much topology. This is going to be weird because it's not really, they're not really symmetrical, but somehow it's working just fine. I guess on some of them it's complaining, but some of them it's doing it fine. All right, and last but not least, I'm almost done with this thing, is I want to use the inflate brush. To inflate these back parts. All right, that's good enough. Okay, so we've got this thing, and what I want to do is I want to take this and copy it. Go to my main scene, and let's hide the station for now. Actually, I want to hide a lot of these pieces, just so it makes this a bit faster. All right, and let's say first I want to have it just this, have them be on this part. So here's the sub D part of that, and I want to hide these back parts as well. And for good measure, let's hide the reflectors. Okay, so here's this model. And what I want to do with this model is just go to the lowest subdivision level of it. Actually, before I do that, let's just duplicate it first. Make sure here. No, I already have this. Okay, so I've got a dynamesh version of this hull. No, this isn't the inside part. I guess I don't have it. That's fine. Okay, so here it is. Right, so this is just the highest subdivision level. What I'm going to do is duplicate this model. And I'm going to go to the lowest subdivision level. Delete all the higher subdivision levels. So I've got something like this, and here I'm going to go ahead and I don't need this antenna part really to be part of this, so I'm just going to mirror and weld it to create this version of it. And then let's see, I'm going to dynamesh this. I'm sorry, not dynamesh it, but I'm going to ZBrush it at half. And let's do it one more time with symmetry on. This is good, maybe double. Yep, I think that's good enough, okay? And the reason why I did this is because of this. So what I want to do here is next, I want to go down to did we paste that? No, we didn't. Okay, I'll just paste it now. I'll paste that little thing that I have, and we're going to take that thing and solo it out. And let's get this gizmo. What is going on with the gizmo? Let's turn symmetry off, center, reset. Okay, so that's good. And what I want to do is I want to just kind of point this towards the screen like that. And what I want to do with this is make a brush with it, right? So here under brush, I'm just going to go down all the way to create insert mesh, new, and create nanomesh. Okay, so now this is a nanomesh object, right? I think it's right here. And what I want to do is I want to go to this hull that we just created, which is this one, the sub D hull. And I want to insert nanomesh all polygons like this. Okay, so what I did is I just added a bunch of these pointing into the ship, and which is, you know, not what I want, of course, but I can play around with this now, and you guys will really kind of be blown away to what I'm going to do next. Okay, so any questions so far? Did you have a hotkey on ZModeler to swap between adding edge loops and removing them? Good question. All right, so the question is, if I'm in ZModeler, do I have a way to go back into adding them? So on the edge, right, so on the edge actions, if you have insert on, insert edge loop, right, like this, right, notice that it says Alt to delete. So if you hold Alt down, it deletes the edge loop, okay? Otherwise, it will add an edge loop. This is for full depth, I guess, is the name of the person. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so now I've got all these spaceships kind of, you know, added this way. I don't need this many of them, of course, but let's go ahead and play around with them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to Nanomesh here, the Nanomesh menu. And first off, I'm going to go ahead and fiddle with the size. And I want these to be about that big. Right? And I can bring up the rest of the geometry here. Let me go ahead and bring up a version of that hull that looks good just so I can see it. Maybe this one right here. Okay, and turn solo off and turn this big gigantic one of these guys off too. All right. So this kind of gives me an idea of the hull itself, and these are all the different things. Now go back to the Nanomesh menu. Where are you, Nanomesh menu? You are right here. Okay. So now, first thing I want to do is I want to kind of get them off the hull. So I'm going to Z offset them, like so. So now they're just kind of flying around the hull, like this. But again, they're very uniform. This is really not what I want, but their size is good enough, right? And then what I want to do is I want to vary that height so they're not all at the same distance. They're the kind of a, you know, they look like they're swarming it. And this adds a little bit of variation, but it's still not enough for me. So then I just go down to random distribution here and I start randomly distributing these things. And I don't want a lot of them, but I do want enough for it to look like they are building this thing up. And here I can just modify the size if I want them to be a little bit bigger, like that. Right, so now there are all these things kind of flying around my spaceship and building it, right? And then I can start changing the, let's see, is it the Y rotation? I can change the Y rotation a bit. That adds a little bit of randomness. And I can also add the Z rotation and the X rotation, right? So that basically kind of makes them look like they're swarming it and they're kind of building stuff up on it. Okay, and that's always, that's all good. I like that. So I'll just go ahead and say a 1 to mesh here. And that actually makes it into geometry, right? So now I can just go ahead and solo this out. So notice here that there is the inside part and then there's the outside part. So I'm just going to go ahead and select the inside part here and invert it. And split hidden. So that inside part is split to a different subtool, and I don't need it anymore. I can just hide it. And I can start bringing everything back, right? So here, go off of solo. Here is my spaceship being built. And all these things are swarming around it and building it, right? So here we go. Let's go over to bring this up, bring this up, bring this up, which I already have. And so now you can see this top one. Now this thing is being built, and there are the things that are building it, right? So real kind of quick way of getting a bunch of builder things around it. Now, you know, I could have had these things be cubes, but I think it adds a little bit more visual interest, especially if I zoom in just a little bit. You know, it's interesting to see these things kind of flying around. And what's really nice is I can always go back to this other hull here and go back to NanoMesh and do it over again. So I can kind of have another set of different types of objects going around it. And I might do that or not. I haven't decided yet. Okay, so here, let's go ahead and hide this guy. These are the nanomeshes. I think I've got everything that I need, but I'm on that object. So there we go. Right, so there's this, and it's doing it. It's basically going around, and if I add the space station now, it looks like they're building it, right? So if this was a game or something like that, then they would be, you know, if I'm doing a concept design for a game, this is what it would look like. You know, I can kind of do the concept here in ZBrush and show them what it looks like, and then the game designers can actually go ahead and model this. So here we go, you know, right? I've got the thing being built. And adding a bunch of lights here, and that's the other thing too, is I'll probably add nanomesh lights around here so different parts of the spaceship are lit with emissive objects, and I can get something really kind of compelling together. Let's turn perspective on here as a composition. Okay. All right, so how are we doing on time? We got about another 20 minutes, so I can work on some other things. But let me see, does anybody have any questions? Seems like it's pretty quiet today, so hopefully I got quite a few people, but everybody's quiet. Any questions on anything that I've done so far? So yeah, every time I talk to people, even colleagues at the schools I teach in, they're like, oh, well, ZBrush isn't really for hard surface. It's great for organic, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I think I've proven them to be not correct many times. Because yes, I mean, ZBrush is incredible for organic stuff. It's really awesome. But it's really incredible for hard surface as well. Right, so there's this part right here. Which one was it where I did the cutouts? Or hopefully I still kept the cutouts. Or if I didn't, I can just do it over again. I think it's this one right here. Here we go. Right, so here's the ship being built, and I can do this exact same process with all these little ships for this back part. And let's do it. Let's do it for the back. Well, actually, I want to do one more for the front part. So here I'm going to pick this. I'm going to pick my nanomesh brush. Solo it out. So here, go to nanomesh, all polygroups, and let's do it again. And all I need to do here is just kind of pop these on. Please don't crash. No, I don't think it did it do it. No. That's why I'm still in ZModeler. All right, here we go. One, back to ZModeler, insert nanomesh, all polygons. All right. So notice here, these are just the cubes. But let me. Right, but I want it to be all polygons. All right, so now it's just adding the cubes. I think I can maybe change this in the dynamesh menu. Can I? Polysphere, no. I think there's a place here where I can choose which nanomesh object I want. Colorize, random seed, no. Replace nanomesh from brush. All right, here we go. So now I've got them again. And this time I want to create them further away. So here I'm going to do a Z offset. Vary them out. And then I'm just going to scale this whole thing out. Oops. Actually, I can inflate it too. Let's see if that works. Okay. So that just basically puts these nanomeshes further out. And then I can go ahead and vary them. So random distribution, like so. And then rotate them. Add some differences there too. Let's add a few more. Right, and then I can do a little bit more variations on this. I can go to alignment and align them differently as well. That looks okay. All right, so that I think works. Let's change the size a bit. And one to mesh. There they are. Okay, and then I just want to get rid of this inside part. Let me do this, make it easier. I just need to find a good place where I can select this inside part. Maybe turn off symmetry. There we go. Okay. And let's invert that. And hide. Or split hidden, that's fine. There we go. And this is like another swarm now. Let's wait for ZBrush to do the autosave. Ernesto, yeah, I'm eager to see it finished too. So hopefully next time we'll just add some kit bash parts, and then in the following 3 weeks we'll render it. It's going to be interesting to see it in a final form. I'll probably do 2 or 3 renders. I'll do one in the space station being built, and then maybe a couple of it in space, you know, doing its thing. If I have time, I'll model some spaceships that come out of it, like smaller spaceships. But let's wait until this gets done. I think I've got way too many of these. I can, whoa, all right. Right at the end of the save, ZBrush decided to leave us, so we'll have to bring it back. I guess while we're waiting for it to load back up, I can show you guys my reference, which is ever-growing. Right, let me bring this back over here. Somebody was asking me what I'm going to use to render it. I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use Keyshot this time as well. All right, let's see. Last save was this one. Number wise 38, 39. All right. I'm kind of hoping that it has this last thing that we did. If not, it's no big deal. I'll do it off camera. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to talk about is my reference, which is over here. Right, so I just have a bunch of different objects, and this is ever growing, so I'm adding more as time goes on. I found some other interesting models that I like. So here's something similar to what I'm working on, where there's a construction of one going on. I don't know why you'd have a crane in space, because there's no gravity. Kind of like the composition of this one. So I'm kind of getting some ideas from existing compositions that people have done. Berkey always has amazing images, so I'm going to try and replicate some of those as well. Okay. Let's see, did this load? It did. Where are we? Looks like it's got the nanomesh, which is always a positive sign. And let's go to here. Let's go to, maybe we don't have them. No, I think somehow we did not quick save. I think it quick saved when I did the nanomesh. We can do it again. I'll do it again off screen, off camera. All right, so yeah, so I'm going to add a whole bunch of those things kind of floating around here, just building the thing. And also I'll probably do another nanomesh of just spheres going around it. And those will be emissive, so they'll just be like light points that light it up. I might actually have them correlate to the little floaty objects. So that'll kind of create some visual interest. But I think for the most part, I have pretty much covered what I wanted to cover today. And we've got maybe about 10 minutes left. So I'll just go ahead and end it here and see if you guys have any questions. As a matter of fact, I won't end it. I actually will go ahead and start redoing that nanomesh stuff. But if you guys have questions, you can ask away. Let me just look at quick save again. Recover tool, recover document. This is something else that I was working on. So this is 39. I think it's the highest number. 32, 30, 31. Yeah, somehow it didn't save. No worries. It's easy enough to do. A lot of these processes take a little bit of time, but not too long. So if I have to do something over again, I do. If I was working in production, of course, I'd be saving a lot more frequently than I do here. All right, so this is it. Is this dynameshed? No, this is not zero meshed. Okay, so I'll have to zero mesh it again. All right, so if you guys have last minute questions, this is a good time to ask, because I'm going to end this exactly at 6, because I got to see what's going on around me. Hopefully things have kind of settled down a bit. Kind of horrible things going on. The coronavirus, in addition to the riots, in addition to all the other kind of horrendous murders that completely are throwing things into a tizzy. So my heart goes out to all the people that are affected by this. It's just, I think we need to start helping each other instead of destroying stuff and killing people. All right. I'm going to zero mesh this. Let's go ahead and go to half. All right. Does nanomesh work with subdivisions? No. Nanomeshes are usually one subdivision. ZBrush, it's just one subdivision level. So it's not, you can't get different subdivision levels in a nanomesh. They're usually whatever subdivision level you save the nanomesh brush as, that's the brush level you get. Am I going to texture it? I am going to probably poly paint it. I mean, I already have art in time. So if you look at this piece, for example, right here, you notice that I've already painted it, and I've painted it using the using one of the displacement maps. So yeah, I'm going to have painting on it. I'm also going to have decals and like the name of the spaceship and all that stuff. We'll do that in maybe week 6 or 7. I'm hoping this thing will go to 8 weeks, but if I need to extend it to 10, I'm good with that. So yeah. Another thing also to let everybody know is that I do these on Sundays now. Today's the last Sunday I'm going to do it. I'm going to move back to my regular schedule, which is Friday nights. So Friday nights, if it's already in the schedule, so the next 2 are going to be on Fridays in June, right? So if you guys need the dates, again, they're all on that webpage. So if you go to ZBrush Live, or you look for ZBrush Live, you go to my thing. Actually, no, you go to calendar, sorry. On the calendar, it'll show the dates. So notice here that there's a bunch of people doing interesting stuff coming up. And so this is June 2020. Do they have me on there yet? They don't have me on there yet. Okay, it'll be on there soon enough. So I think Friday the 12th and the 26th are the dates I'll be doing it. And the time is different too. The time is going to be from, I think from 7 to 9 or 8 to 10, I forget. I think it's 7 to 9. But keep an eye out. They'll update this in the next few days. I've already given them the dates. Right, and yeah. So now it's auto-saving again. That's so weird. I'm going to let it go through this time, and let's see if there's any other questions. Interesting work pipeline. Thanks for sharing. Thank you for. Okay, sure. Full death. More than happy to help. Yeah. So I think I've answered all the questions. I think we're getting close to the end time here. If you guys have more questions, you can jump on next time and ask them. That's the benefit of being on live, of course. You get to ask questions and you get to watch things as they're happening. But after these are done, of course, they're all on saved on YouTube. They're saved on Twitch. They're saved on ZBrush Live channel. So you guys can always go back and watch the parts again. And if you have questions, you can just catch me on my next stream and ask, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. So everybody out there, stay safe, stay at home if you can. Let's get this coronavirus thing out of the way, and let's get our lives back to as much of a normal as we can. Thank you all for participating or being part of this, being online, and look forward to seeing some of you again on the next one. So good night and stay safe.